Roll call.
Twenty supervisors are present. Supervisors Belsky, O'Day, and Decker are excused.
We got another one in there.
Also, we have 3 of the Yudin governance. Tonight, I'll let you guys introduce yourself, please. And you are with? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Welcome here. Citizen comments. Any citizen wish to speak? Please state your name and address.
Hi, everybody. Happy summer. Heidi Helgeson, 6507 40th Avenue. I'm going to share a letter that I sent to Chair Nudo and Executive Kirkman today. I'm speaking today in response to the Racial and Ethnic Equity Commission meeting held on June 15th, 2023. The agenda released by Commissioner Solis made it appear that the commission was looking to have the designation of systemic racism as a public health crisis removed. It is not clear whether Mr. Solis has the knowledge that the county board, not the commission, holds that power. During the meeting, there was conflicting messaging as to whether that was the position the commission would take. This may be due to the fact that Mr. Solis was not expecting 34 people to show up, with 10 of them speaking against removing the designation, as well as offer a variety of data, statistics, and personal anecdotal evidence of systemic racism. Among problems with this new leadership is the clear lack of knowledge. Mr. Solis created a grandstanding platform for Commissioner Gonzalez, demonstrated a complete lack of knowledge regarding Robert's Rules of Order, protocol, decorum in a public meeting, and bellowing, "You're out of order," anytime he might have felt threatened or disagreed with a speaker. He argued with Supervisor Berg over the words may and shall after the quote in the bylaws was referred to corporate counsel. Mr. Solis and Mr. Gonzalez have been on the commission for over 2 months. They still do not know the mission and purpose of the commission and have engaged in a time-wasting effort, along with Supervisor Thomas, to go back to the work that led to the creation of the commission. Why on earth would someone be given a job that they don't know anything about, have no skill set to offer, and then not spend any time learning about the job, only to waste once per month meeting time trying to learn what it is they have been appointed to accomplish? On May 23rd, at the May 23rd meeting, I provided a written handout to the entire commission with resources about systemic racism. I reached out to Mr. Solis asking for a place on the agenda to follow up and ask folks what they learned from the resources I provided. Mr. Solis never responded to me. It is clear that Mr. Gonzalez never bothered to even look at the resources I provided in May because he expressed gratitude for the data he had just learned in the June 15th meeting from citizen comments. Again, what is a person who knows nothing about systemic racism, has taken no initiative to learn about systemic racism, doing in a leadership position on a commission whose purpose it is to address and work to alleviate systemic racism? Further, it is clear that Mr. Gonzalez has no knowledge of how local government works, and yet another breach of protocol. Mr. Gonzalez directly addressed a citizen regarding comments she made about the risk of losing federal grant money. Then he went on and on about not wanting to be controlled by the federal government through grant money. Someone even tried to explain to him that federal grant money is a normal and acceptable part of local government that does not result in the loss of autonomy by local governments, by noting that Kenosha County roads are repaired with the support of grant money. It is clear that Mr. Solis and Mr. Gonzalez do not have the knowledge or skills to serve on this commission. Please take action immediately to have them removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Russ Hahn. My address is 6600 3rd Avenue in Kenosha. I'd like to talk tonight about the issue of teen suicide, particularly among LGBTQ youth. Suicide is already the second leading cause of death among young people aged 10 to 24. But LGBTQ youth are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. One estimate shows that has demonstrated that more than 1.8 million LGBTQ youth seriously consider suicide each year in the United States, and at least one attempts suicide every 45 seconds. The Trevor Project's 2022 National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. Now, LGBTQ youth are not inherently prone to suicide risk because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, but rather they're placed at a higher risk because of how they are mistreated and stigmatized in society. In fact, 36% of LGBTQ youth report that they have been physically threatened or harmed, and those who did attempt suicide, were physically threatened or harmed, attempted suicide at nearly triple the rate of those who did not receive such treatment. Research has also demonstrated that 52% of LGBTQ youth who were enrolled in middle and high school either reported being bullied, either in person or electronically in the past year, and those who did had 3 times greater odds of attempting suicide in the past year. Finally, 73% of the LGBTQ youth report that they had experienced discrimination based on their sexual orientation or gender identity, and those who did attempted suicide at more than twice the rate of those who did not receive such discrimination. Now, you'd think with all this evidence of the effect of harassment of LGBTQ youth that perhaps politicians would step up and not attack them. Well, of course, as we know, the opposite has happened. There have been more than 491 anti-LGBTQ bills in the United States. Well, a couple of weeks ago, County Executive Samantha Kirkman made a conscious choice to join the drumbeat of hateful attacks against the LGBTQ community by calling for the reversal of the policy of having the pride flag up at county buildings. I guess that isn't necessarily surprising given the treatment by Samantha Kirkman of minority groups over the past couple of years, beginning with her campaign, which had extremely virulent racist dog whistle campaign literature, and her treatment over the past couple of years, including placement of individuals on the Racial and Ethnic Equity Commission who either don't believe that racism exists or that government should have any role in fighting it, or that have prominently displayed the Confederate flag on their social media accounts, or people whose primary activity up to this point has been the promotion and the funding of individuals who have engaged in white supremacist vigilantism. What we need to do in this circumstance, make no mistake about it, that these actions have impact, not just in terms of embarrassing the county and bringing shame to the county, and make no question about it, that has happened, but it also normalizes attacks, bullying, harassment, and discrimination against minority groups, and this most recent action specifically against the LGBTQ community. When this is going on, you guys have to take action. You have to, as the commissioners, reverse the actions that she has taken, reverse these appointments that she has made, and decide that you're going to stick with those minority groups who need your support. It's not just a matter of pride and shame upon our county, but it's a matter of life and death for some very vulnerable individuals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Any other citizen comments? Any other citizen comments? Seeing none, citizen comments are closed. Okay, Supervisor Gantz?
Do we need a vice chair? Why not?
There's no requirement that we have someone sitting in the chair. If, for some reason, the chairman has to pass the gavel, there is a procedure in our rules, there's a line of succession. It would go to Supervisor Kubicki as the most recent former chair still serving on the board. I don't think it's necessary that he be sitting in the chair to do that.
Well, I mean, that was always the way it was done, so that's why I'm questioning it. So, I mean, you always should have somebody to pass the gavel to, and I don't know if he's gonna throw it at Supervisor Kubicki or what, but.
I
you
won't
know,
do
mean,
that.
it's
He's
just-
stronger than me.
It's just proper protocol. But anyway, that's my point of order.
Thank you. Okay, announcement of the chairperson, just a couple announcements. I know I had some calls about the July 4th meeting where people are going to be out of town. There is nothing really time sensitive. For that reason, we're not going to have a meeting on July 4th. Or,
July 5th.
well, the 4th or 5th or whatever. We're just going to skip that meeting. And just a reminder that this Thursday, we're going to have the executive committee meeting. And that's it for me. Supervisor reports. And let's see. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to welcome tonight to our meeting Robert Ader, who is sitting over my left shoulder in the back row. Robert is a member of Troop 385 in Bristol. He is working on his Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge this evening. This is needed in order to become an Eagle Scout, something that he intends on doing later on in his career through the Scouts. He has been in Scouts for over 7 years, and he is currently a tenderfoot. Please join me in welcoming Robert this evening. Thank you. And additionally, as needed for his merit badge he's working on tonight, he does need to interview somebody in government. And I think he's in the perfect place tonight. So if you would like to answer any of his questions he may have, feel free to see him after the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Who's number 2? Supervisor Nedweski.
Thank you, Chairman Nudo. Supervisor Berg earlier came into the legislative committee meeting in a very excited and happy mood, and I cannot tell you how similar I feel right now to be here tonight, excited to take a victory lap for Kenosha County. Today, County Executive Samantha Kirkman traveled to Wausau to witness Governor Tony Evers sign Assembly Bill 245 into law, making it 2023 Wisconsin Act 12. This legislation funds local governments at historic levels. Shifting the funding source of shared revenue to a portion of the state sales tax ensures that the revenue stream that supports public safety, critical services, and innovation at local levels will fluctuate with the economy instead of remaining static in an outdated and inequitable formula. Under the new framework, all Wisconsin municipalities will experience a minimum of a 20% increase in shared revenue, with many exceeding that number by far. The new calculation is more equitably balanced between towns, villages, and cities than the outdated formula that was used in years past. Supervisors should have handouts on their desks that show the new distributions of shared revenue to Kenosha County and to each municipality within the county. You will see that under the new distribution of shared revenue, Kenosha County will receive a much-needed approximate increase of almost $1.3 million in new municipal aid over last year. Let's try not to all spend this at once. I'm proud to have worked together with my colleagues in the State Assembly to represent Kenosha County's unique needs throughout the process of reaching this bipartisan agreement. Serving both as a county board supervisor and as a state representative has been very advantageous in understanding how to best give Kenosha County a voice at the state level and vice versa. Like our county executive, I look forward to continuing to leverage my experience in both bodies to work with colleagues on our common goal, making Kenosha County and the state of Wisconsin the best. The negotiation, collaboration, and compromise that led to the signing of this legislation by Governor Evers is a great example of how progress can be made when members of divided government prioritize the will of the people that they represent in order to reach an outcome in which all stakeholders benefit. These numbers are pending the passage of the state budget, it should be noted. Nonetheless, it's a very exciting day for the state of Wisconsin. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a note on the next Public Works Committee meeting, which will be Monday, June 26th. It will be at the Pringle Nature Preserve, and it'll start at 6:30. However, there will be an open house from 5:30 to 6:30, where we'll be able to test out the new all-terrain wheelchair that eventually we'll be getting in July. This is just a borrowed unit coming up just for this open house. So I encourage all who are interested to meet us out there, which is in the Bristol Woods Park. And just one note, I attended, and as well as many of the County Board Supervisors, the Kenosha County Dairy Breakfast up at Daniel's 2 Farm in Kansasville. It was very well attended, and hope to see everybody there next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Nudo. Just have a update on the, from the PDEC meeting that we had on 2 weeks ago in June here. We had, from the Education Committee meeting, we had Mary Metten and the Sharing Center, Stephanie from the Sharing Center there to present on the financial coaching program that they're working on in collaboration together. They've had over 80 people referred to Mary Metten from the Sharing Center in the last year, and it's been a very positive outcome for the people that have come through that program. The other thing that is going on that we were reported on through the Sharing Center is that the housing help in 2022 that they helped 120 people. They said that they're up to that level already this year, so that they're looking to quadruple the number of people that are looking for help for housing in 2023 over 2022. They said it's been a very challenging couple of years, one with the higher cost of housing, with the ending of the support from the government through the COVID relief, and just the higher inflation of expenses that people have. So it's been a very hard time for certain people within the county here, and I think that that's an important thing to consider as we, look forward in our county as far as development goes with housing. We also have a couple of other updates that we did get the 2022 annual report from Pam. That should have been on everybody's desks here for the UW Extension. I also do have a 2022 report for the Sharing Center. If anybody wants to see that, they can, just let me know. I do have a copy of it. Some unfortunate news is that our youth and governance person, Erica, is going to be taking a position actually she's gotten a scholarship or a grant to go, don't quote me on where she's going, somewhere in South America, I believe, or something like that. So, Colombia, yes, yep. So we're going to be looking forward to a new positive youth development extension educator in the next couple of months coming up. So that concludes my report for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things. I want to follow up on Supervisor Nordigan in regards to Public Works. The first 2 weekends that the beer garden was open at Petrifying Springs, and I go through that area on a somewhat frequent basis, either on a bike or driving at some point. It was 8 o'clock at night. It was on a Sunday night. This was Memorial Day weekend. 8 o'clock at night. All you guys are familiar with the entrance off County Road JR. There were cars parked on County Road JR almost from the bottom of the hill as you're right there by UW Parkside at their bottom entrance, all the way past, going past all along the fence to the, on the dog park. Pulling out onto JR, you cannot see right or left safely. Again, this is 8 o'clock at night. Cars are literally parked all around the beer garden, on the grass, right in front of signs that say no parking. They're parked on the other side of the bridge as you're going northbound through the park, in the grass, everywhere. I went and talked with one of the owners that night, letting him know that this was not acceptable. I had the same issue with them last year, as I almost got hit twice riding a bike in that park because people could not see me as they were pulling out of a parking lot. I'd sent a message to the county executive. She quickly responded, thought we were taking care of things. The next weekend, the same thing happened. I was a little bit more forceful in getting that done. There were some tickets that have been issued. There's been some Facebook and social media aspects on where they can and cannot park. We have a real safety issue and the seriousness of the beer garden owners on not only their patrons, but the patrons that visit that park. The beer garden is dominating that park on weekend nights. They have got to the point where it's such an overcapacity issue, they are offering shuttles from a UW Parkside parking lot to their beer garden. This board was not involved in any of the negotiations of that MOU. But this is something that I think as a county board we need to look at and consider the safety of whoever's going to be using that park, whether they're drinking or just there to enjoy a picnic, go biking, walking, running, whatever it might be. Just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. This was several weeks ago, and some things have been done to address that. The other issue is that for the first time since last August, we had a chairperson start the meeting for the Racial Equity Ethnicity Commission. They have not had an elected chairperson start that meeting since last August, when the previous chairperson resigned in late September. And so, you know, it may or may not be reading the paper, whatever it might be. We had to meet in this room. It was the third room that we were assigned to because of the expectation of an influx of citizens' comments, which there was, and it was based on a misunderstanding. And I will take responsibility for some of this because I had asked that we put on that agenda, since there are 7 new members, well, not quite 7, 6 new members on there. I had asked that we discuss the need to have at least some kind of documentation that led to this body several years ago declaring that racism was a public health issue. So that commission would have a better understanding of the thought process, the documentation, any type of data that was shared. So as we break into our subcommittees, we have better guidance on what they should be looking for more specifically, since there was nothing that was given to any of them as a transition for that. So it was more just to point us in a better area. So they will probably be formally requesting that from the county executive and from the county board and the executive committee at some point in the near future. So that would be finished my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things. Yesterday at the Juneteenth event in Civic Center Park, the county, the state, and the city all had proclamations. I thank County Executive Samantha Kirkman for putting the proclamation for the county together and presenting it yesterday to those that were in attendance. To add to what Supervisor Thomas spoke about, another agenda item was the Jenny Tunkeys Award for Racial and Gender Equality. Right now, we're behind. We're supposed to be giving the award in April. Because of all the changes, we're behind. So we are going to still make that award this year in the next couple months. And we're also going to get a backdated plan for awarding next April. And it kind of took me by surprise also, but it was also suggested that we change the name of the award from the Jenny Tunkeys Award to somebody else. Take that conversation as you have. It's not something that I'm going to support. Right before today's Legislative Committee meeting, I had the wonderful opportunity to be at the dedication of, I think it's the 6th or 7th Habitat House in my district. There's 2 more being worked on that are going to be dedicated in the next couple months, so you all are invited to these dedications. They're wonderful assets and improvements to our community. And lastly, if anybody wasn't aware, yesterday was Supervisor Gashke's birthday, so make sure you say happy birthday today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor US.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to give you a report on our April activities regarding joint services. We have currently hired an HR coordinator. Her name is Julie Bach. She started on April 17th and will work in tandem with Bev Sabetic while learning the training and ensuring a smooth transition. In April, 4,855 911 calls were received by the Communications Department, with 95% of these calls answered in under 10 seconds and 98% in under 15 seconds. There were 15,329 non-emergency calls handled and 30 911 text messages that were received during the month of April. Regarding our records department, the record clerks entered 323 warrants into the time system. They recalled 80 circuit court and municipal court warrants. They also canceled 173 warrants that were served by law enforcement. Record clerks processed 31 orders of protection. In April, 1,772 reviews of cases and supplemental reports were completed. While serving citizens at the front counter, record staff took in 27 complaints and written reports in April. They also booked 6 juveniles in April as well. Regarding our fleet maintenance, they still continue to be very busy. There were 337 maintenance and repairs performed during the month. Vehicle manufacturer recalls continue to be scheduled as parts are made available for the repairs. Regarding our evidence and ID department, ID technicians continually receive, process, disseminate, and fulfill digital media requests. The fulfillment of one request may include multiple instances of research, dissemination, and follow-up until the request is fulfilled. Throughout the course of a day, ID technicians can spend anywhere between 1 to 5 hours simply receiving, reviewing, disseminating, and following up on, duplicating media for, and completing requests. In 2018, the average number of requests completed per month was 104. In 2022, the average number of requests completed per month are 243. Through April of 2023, the average number of requests completed has risen to 260. From 2018 through April of 2023, that's an increase of 148% for the average number of requests completed per month. So you can see that our requests are going up for digital media and as well as written. Also, department staff took in 41 boxes of prescription drugs to be turned into the property room for Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday, April 22nd. These items were among a total of 129 boxes weighing 1,499 pounds, released to and disposed of by the Drug Enforcement Administration on April 24th. In the month of April, the ID technicians took in 1,810 items, disposed of 732 items, handled an additional 382 items tracked as evidence that were released to other entities, law enforcement, labs, etc., and returned to the property room. Staff transported 27 items to the crime lab and processed 28 pieces of found property. They also made 53 DNA collection appointments, completed 33 ink fingerprint cards, completed 58 bookings, review and submitted charges for 606 total bookings to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, and completed 247 digital media requests. So as you can see, things are not slowing down in joint services. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Besha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number of updates, but let me start first since Supervisor Nordigan mentioned it. The Daniels Dairy Farm in Kenosha County had a fantastic dairy breakfast. I think there were several thousand, if not 3,000 people that went through that line. I know my fingers are still burnt from handing out pancakes. But it was an extremely well-attended event, and the Daniels family, exceptional family in Brighton, did a beautiful job preparing their dairy to receive that many people, because that is quite an undertaking. I know the farm that will be hosting the next dairy breakfast, and they have already begun work, so it takes well over a year to prepare for that event. So fantastic job to everybody that was there. Thank you for Kenosha County for coming out, and from all those outside the state that brought their resources to share with us. So thank you. Broadband committee update. The broadband committee continues to meet on a monthly basis. However, we have not been able to convene a quorum of members as yet. Thus, we have not elected officers. I will provide more insight and information on that as we get closer. We do have a meeting this week, Thursday, however, and we are assured, based on responses, that we'll have a quorum and be able to affect that and move that forward. Additionally, myself and many others were able to attend the band shell dedication in Paddock Lake. It was a beautiful event, a great evening. It is an exceptional band shell, and I hope everyone has opportunity to come out this summer and enjoy it with everyone else. Now moving on to Judiciary and Law. We met on June 7th. We will meet again on July 5th. We weren't afraid of the calendar. So we'll continue that evening. One major modification is the meeting time is 6 o'clock p.m. Otherwise, we'll continue on our normal rotation. We welcomed two youth in governance, Mr. Michael Babu and Ms. Angelina Lagunas. Both are very, very charismatic individuals, and I believe will bring a lot to Judiciary and Law this year as we progress forward. I have challenged them a little bit, or encouraged them, better way to say it, that they consider a topic of interest to them and come prepared to provide a small presentation to Judiciary and Law and share their insights. That sparks from a number of reach outs that I've had from high school students in the area that have asked, what do we do about major incidents that are happening, call it reckless driving, drugs, et cetera, and how do we interdict that behavior? We touched a number of major topics that evening, and we'll touch them again this evening. I did want to focus on one specifically. We do have another major event with Country Thunder coming to town. It was a robust discussion, a very dynamic discussion with a lot of concerns raised and addressed. One of those concerns was the prior license offered up to 50,000 people to attend, and that put us at a very, very difficult spot last year Saturday evening for a major act that was there. So we have reduced the number through the new license to 30,000. So we're assured that the Sheriff's Department has it under control, and we'll hear more about that tonight. But we had a great meeting, and we'll continue forward, so thank you all.
Thank you. Supervisor Geschke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to briefly highlight Kenosha County's many high-quality trails, paths, and bike routes and events. And I wanted to commend our parks and planning departments and other staff for their work on behalf of our community. We as a county just recently completed Bike to Work weeks. And this past weekend, Kenosha County sponsored and organized a Dairy Air bike ride, a 10-mile ride from Silver Lake Beach to the dairy breakfast at the Daniels Farm. And I think there was about 50 participants in that bike ride. and it was organized, and safety was provided by the Sheriff's Department, and it was a very enjoyable ride, as well as a great breakfast afterwards. So again, just wanted to highlight the paths and the events, and thank our staff for their work on behalf of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Any other supervisor reports? Seeing none, supervisor reports are closed.
County Executive Appointments, 14, Andy Bueller to serve on the Kenosha County Land Information Council.
Refer to Planning and Development Committee.
15, Sean Smith to serve on the Kenosha County Land Information Council.
Refer to Planning and Development Committee.
16, Zach Rodriguez to serve on the Kenosha County Board of Health.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
17, Carrie Foss to serve as Director, Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
New business, Resolution 21 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution for the appointment of Veronica King to serve on the Commission on Aging and Disability Services. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Stocker excused.
Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have,
Just move.
move the resolution, please.
Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Gersten. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you. Before us, we have the resolution to appoint Ms. Veronica King to serve on the Kenosha County Commission on Aging and Disability Services. Proud to say that she is from my district as well. She is here tonight. There you are. Awesome. So she is here tonight if anybody has any questions. Her appointment passed unanimously, and I would encourage the board to support it this evening.
Okay, any supervisor comments? Supervisor Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to discount the name put out there, but it is Dr. Veronica King.
Thank you, Supervisor.
B, I absolutely support Dr. King to be on this commission, the Aging and Disabilities. She's plenty involved in our community, and there's very few that don't know who she is and what she brings to our community. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Any other supervisor? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Resolution 22 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution for the appointment of Dustin Feeney to the position of Director of Workforce Development. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Stocker excused.
Supervisor Stock.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before us, we have the appointment of Dustin Feeney to serve as the Director of the Kenosha County Division in Workforce Development. He has held the position of Child Support Manager with Kenosha County since March of 2018. Prior to this role, he held the positions of Child Support Supervisor from June 2012 to March 2018, Economic Support Specialist from April 2010 to May 2012, and Child Support Enforcement Investigator Specialist from July 2000 to April 2010. Mr. Feeney received his Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice and Political Science from the University of Wisconsin-Parkside, and as the Director of Kenosha County Division of Workforce Development, Mr. Feeney will receive a $92,000 as an annual salary. I believe he is already serving this role in the interim, and he is here this evening if anyone has any questions. His appointment passed our committee unanimously, and I would encourage the board to support him this evening.
Okay, any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Congratulations.
Resolution 23 from the Human Services and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution to modify the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services 2023 budget for a grant, the Independent Living Supports Pilot. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Stocker and Bashaw excused.
Supervisor Stock.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Stock.
Yes, before us tonight, our county has had the opportunity to participate in a pilot program which will allow us to potentially meet the needs of up to 500 more seniors and residents with disabilities through the Independent Living Supports Pilot Program. There's a couple unique things about this grant. It has different financial requirements so that people that would normally not be able to receive assistance would qualify for assistance. I believe Rebecca is here. Would you be able to just give us a quick synopsis of the grant? Thank you. I appreciate you're going to say it better than I would, so I'll let you just do that for us.
So we were fortunate to be one of 13 counties that received the opportunity to have this grant. This will allow us to serve up to 500 seniors and people with disability in our community. The purpose of the grant is to be able to support people to live independently in their home. So people who are eligible will be folks that are 300% or less of the federal poverty level. They cannot reside in any long-term facility or be in a long-term care program. And with this, they will have up to $7,200 in a 12-month period to spend on expenses that would keep them safe in their home. So examples of those would be if they need to modify a bathroom to be able to independently take a shower, or if they were able to modify a vehicle so that it could be wheelchair accessible. We very rarely have an opportunity to be able to serve a group of people that sort of fall outside of the realm of those that we are able to serve, and this is just another opportunity for us to be able to serve some more folks that we have not been able to in the past many years.
Thank you. Did you have anything else, Supervisor Stark, or you're okay?
Nope, that's all. This
Okay.
this grant's passed our committee unanimously, and I would encourage the board to support as well.
Okay, Supervisor Thomas, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just had some questions on this. So this is going out to another agency, and they're going to be overseeing this.
Correct. It will be housed within the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services, but it will be a contract agency that will provide 2 staff members to case manage these 500 individuals that will be enrolled.
Okay, so of that, so does this go out for a bid?
No, it does not have to go out for a bid.
I didn't ask if it has to. Will it go out for a bid?
No, that is not the intention at this point.
Okay, so let me understand. So we can serve up to 500 people.
Correct.
Over the next 25 months.
Correct.
Is that the term of this grant? 25 months?
Correct.
And we can provide the senior that has some disability with up to $7,200?
So it's both seniors and folks with disabilities. So anyone over the age of 60 by Wisconsin law is considered a senior. Those under the age of 60 would have to have a qualifying diagnosis that would term them as disabled to meet the qualifications of the grant.
Okay, so, but we can give them a grant up to $7,200 each, correct?
Yes.
So of the $432,000 over the next 25 months, how much will go to this subcontracted company, and how much will be left over to give in the form of $7,200 grants?
So the amount of the grant is based on the amount of people that we enroll. So the $432,000 will go towards the cost of running the program. The $7,200 for each enrollee is actually paid by a fiduciary that the state of Wisconsin has set up to manage the program.
So we're paying 2 people $432,000 over the next 25 months to determine who should get some level of a grant up to $7,200, which will come from another source.
Correct. Well,
Could we do this, I'm just asking, could we do this better if we hire 2 people and they work for the county for 25 months under a grant for less than $432,000?
Probably not at the salary that the contracted agencies would be able to provide this for.
Okay, so,
So the $432,000 is not just the salaries of the individuals. So it's the rental space, it's the laptops, it's the use of our receptionists, the use of all of those things are incorporated within that.
Okay, so do we have, so what would define success with this program since it's a pilot project? Have they given you that, like, we are gonna help all 500 people? Is that the goal, to help 500 people
Yes,
over the next 25
yes.
months?
Every county that was eligible for this grant or received this grant was given a number. Ours was at 500 persons.
Okay, so that's roughly 20 people per month if we start 20 people month 1.
Correct.
Right? So it doesn't give much information on here, is when would this program start, and when does the subcontracted company think they will have 2 people hired to do that?
So the intent of the state was to roll out the program on July 10th. They have since pushed it back, and they haven't given us a definitive date. However, they're still anticipating sometime in July that it would be rolled out. And the subcontractor can start 2 individuals as soon as possible.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Supervisor Thomas asked a lot of the questions. But again, so the $432,000 is a grant to administer to up to 500 individuals who will be getting about $7,200, maximum $7,200 or $180,000. So I just look at those numbers and say $432,000 to get $180,000 in benefits seems to be a little outrageous, but that's not coming out of Kenosha County pockets.
No, it's
anything like that.
100% grant funded.
It's all grant funded?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, and I'd like to know what the expected outcome is in order to move the pilot program along. So next year, it shouldn't be as much if they allow it to continue, because you have all this other setup and everything, and maybe we can use some more of that money to benefit more of the people, because people are only getting a third of what's, quarter, really, of what's actually being spent. I think that's a little ridiculous, because I would not give money to an organization that only give 25% of what they spend, or what they get to the actual benefit the individuals. So hopefully, we'll see a little bit better turnaround on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to hit on the numbers too. If we divide the 432 by 2 employees over 25 months, that's $8,640 per employee per month. Help me understand where that is getting spent. I understand payroll and office space and laptops, but that's almost $20,000 a month for 2 folks to administer this program.
Sure, and I don't have the fiscal breakdown. I certainly can provide it to you. Our fiscal manager put that together, but it's just all encompass of salary and benefits and use of space and liability insurance and laptops.
Are we carrying liability insurance for the vendor?
Well, the division is, every year the division pays the liability insurance, and our contractors are also required to have liability insurance.
So is this $8,640 per staffer per month? Does some of that go, in a sense, to offset the levy, and in a sense of they're paying rent to the division? Because I know we rent out some of our office space.
We do rent off our office space,
Well,
yes.
so what are they going to pay us in rent?
You know, that I'd have to look at our fiscal breakdown,
Okay.
but I'd be happy to provide it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Certainly.
Who is the contractor?
It's intended to be professional services group.
Okay. I'm just concerned. That's a lot of money, and I know it's not county dollars, but it's still tax dollars nonetheless. It came from county residents, and I just don't. I don't know how you justify that. I mean, nearly $500,000 for 2 people to run a program for 500 folks that are only getting $7,000. I'm just perplexed by this. I'd like to see more of a financial breakdown and have whoever can answer those questions here to answer those questions, so that folks know that they're getting their money's worth, because at $9,000 a month per employee, that's quite a salary, that's quite an office space, that's quite a laptop. I would make a motion to table this until the next meeting, or postpone it, whatever the Corp Council prefers. I make a motion.
Okay, so your motion is to,
I don't want it to die. I just want to.
okay, so what's your motion? To postpone? it?
Postpone until the next county board meeting. I don't know the date off the top of my head.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, second by Supervisor Poole. Okay, now, let me just clear the board so we talk about this motion now. Okay. Okay, the motion is to postpone it till the next meeting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now, let's see. Hold on. Supervisor Nordigan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Or actually, hold on a second. Since you made the motion, you want to say anything else, Supervisor Rodriguez? Okay.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I think this is a great program. It sounds like it's a great program. I just have concerns about what we're spending so much money on. So what I'd like to, who I'd like to hear from is, what Ms. Dutter stated was, we have somebody who can answer these questions more thoroughly. I think this is a great program for all of our constituents. I don't want to get rid of this. That's why I'm not making a motion to table it. I just would like to know how the money is going to be spent, because I know it's not just on rent, payroll, and laptops. So that's why this isn't some attempt to get rid of it, just so that I at least myself has better understanding of how the money's being spent. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there a time constraint where we have to pass this, and what is that time constraint?
Well, the program is intended to kick off in July.
Yeah.
If we're not able to start this program until August or July meeting,
Can you turn her microphone? I couldn't hear the
I'm
last part.
sorry.
Thank you. Well, I didn't hear the last part. What was
Sorry,
it?
I don't know if we'd be able to implement it to get staff up and running and completing all of the trainings and the things that would need to be done.
Well, we wouldn't even be meeting till the second, or excuse me, to the third,
Till the 18th.
yeah, to the 18th. But do we have to have it up and going in July?
The state is intending for the opening of the people to be enrolled to start sometime in July. Originally, it was supposed to be July 10th. They have pushed it back, but they have not given us an exact date in July that it would be opening.
Okay. What's your point?
Through the chair, to the speaker, would we lose the money if we didn't start in July?
I don't know that we would lose the money. We would certainly be delayed in being able to enroll people into the program.
Supervisor Nordigan?
No, I think that,
That's it?
well, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Okay.
you.
Supervisor Berg.
I am not going to support that to kick this down the road. We're possibly jeopardizing getting the money. If we do, we're still pushing it back for folks in our community that have previously not, if I'm correct, were not able to attain certain things in their house for safety purposes, those that are elderly and those that are disabled. This is a great opportunity to do this and do this now. The thought that it's being spent irresponsibly, sure, it's our job to look at stuff like that. But the folks that we have in our human services building, they do an astounding job through the leadership of our county executive. So by postponing this, it's also a direct reflection on our county executive because it needs to be done. So I'm not going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Nadleski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the speaker, you're unsure if we don't vote on this until maybe end of July or even early August, that we would be jeopardizing our opportunity to even accept the funds?
I'm not sure whether because they intend for this to kick off in July, I don't know that we'd be able to have staff go through the appropriate training to be able to start the program on time.
But would we still be eligible to receive the funds with a delayed start?
Potentially. I don't know the answer to that question.
You don't know the answer. So there is a possible risk there.
There could be, yes.
Okay. I do tend to agree that the numbers are questionable, and we did discuss this in committee somewhat. At that time, the speakers were able to give us some justifiable data and said that there was information that they could follow up with if needed. So I would certainly encourage anybody who has questions about that 400 and whatever, 32,000 it is, to follow up, because of course we want to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayer dollar. It's concerning that it costs more to administer the program than the actual benefit, absolutely. And I think that that is something we need to look at in lots of different grants that we receive through the Human Services Division going forward. But at this time, I would not vote to defer this item to the next meeting, because I agree with Supervisor Berg that this is an opportunity to provide services to people who typically fall outside of the parameters of receiving services, and I would hate to delay that any longer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. I will not be supporting any type of deferral. This could have been done at committee or had questions asked of staff prior to this meeting. And I happen to believe that it is time sensitive. If the state says you're one of 13 counties that'll be kicking this off and you're in the restroom, I don't think that's gonna look good. So we can't, we can't be behind the 8 ball. And I mean, we did ask questions in the committee about the finances, and typically you're gonna have a lot of administration heavy benefit programs. This isn't for salaries. Look at what rent costs. Look at what space cost. Yeah, we don't have those numbers right now, but I was satisfied in committee that it was appropriate. So this is a group of people that we have not been able to help prior, and that's really what we do. And this is a grant, and 12 other counties are doing the exact same thing. So I don't think we need to kick this down the road when we've already had the opportunity to vet it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of my comments were addressed already. To Supervisor Norgan's point, I believe our next county board meeting wouldn't be till third week of July. Part of what I believe we talked about in the discussions as part of this grant is they're actually doing a whole advertising push and packet so that we don't even have to advertise for this grant. They are actually doing all of that for us, so delaying the timing would not be beneficial to us. I know we discussed this in the committee. How did we arrive at that $432,000 number, and was that number approved by the people writing the grant? I'm sure there was a process for them to even approve that number that we're having before us tonight.
The actual state gave us the number. It was $864 per person that the state was allocating towards this. So if you times that by 500, that's where the $432,000 came.
And the total value of this grant, if we served all 500 people to the max, would be what?
Well, for us, it's just still the $432,000. The state then is responsible through this fiduciary to provide the $7,200 per person.
And so my rough math, that was
Yeah.
like over $3 million, because the comment was made earlier that it costs more to administer than, but
Right.
potential value of this grant is in the millions.
Yes.
Okay. I think that was all I had. Obviously I would not agree with deferring this. This is very time sensitive, and it's a rare opportunity to serve more people in our community. So I would encourage everyone to vote against deferring this so that we can get our citizens the help. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Geschke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a question about the timetable and possible jeopardizing of this grant, which has already been answered. Thank you.
Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the one thing that we're all forgetting in this is that this is a private company that needs to make a profit. And in doing so, that's the one element of the basically $9,000 per employee per month that we're losing out on. So I'm not sure what their needed profit margin is on employee, but my guess it's probably 15 to 20%. So, I mean, just take that into account, that they are a for-profit agency that we're contracting to. It's the only way they can stay in business is if they make a profit. So in addition to all their other expenses, they have to account for that. And that's probably how they determined that they could have 2 employees and not 2.5 or 2.25. Maybe we negotiate for 2.5. I don't know. But all the same, they have to make a profit in this. And I'm not in favor of deferring this either. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Supervisor Franco.
Call the question.
Okay. Okay, roll call to call the question.
No, it's a motion to call the question.
Supervisor Thomas? We're voting to end discussion
On the amendment.
on the amendment.
It says motion to table.
That is, got it.
Do it again?
Okay? Oh, so we gotta vote again?
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, that's fine.
it passes 20 votes. And 1 nay by Supervisor Rodriguez.
Okay, now,
I'm sorry, it was 19 yes and 1 no by Supervisor Rodriguez.
okay, I'm gonna clear the board, and then we go back to the main, we just vote on the motion to table. To postpone. Okay. Simple majority. Okay, all in favor? To, to defer. Yes. All in favor to defer, vote yes,
They want a roll call.
right? Oh, you want to,
They want a roll call.
no, nobody asked for a roll call, right?
Yeah, they did.
They did? Sorry. Okay. So again, just to make it clear, yes to defer, no. Okay.
Or 23, resolution 23. Just a minute, we need to adjust that.
I don't know how to answer that, but I think you guys voted the same way, so it doesn't make any difference for this time.
So, excuse me, but when you, so. Right, so it was, it's the way it's been since we got the new program, so. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
She,
No,
we're voting on the motion to defer.
we did that. We did. We did.
Well, it wasn't correct. It wasn't up there correct, so.
Okay,
Right.
let's just repeat, we're voting to
Defer
to
resolution.
defer. Yes is to defer. No is to, okay.
The- Okay, so,
Okay, let's have a roll call by voice. Wait, you can call the, let's call the supervisors and your request.
okay. Supervisor Grady? Rose? No. Gantz? No. Thomas? No. Kubicki? No. Gashke? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock? Nudo?
No.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedweski? Wambolt? Uhas? Bashaw? Poole? Nordigan? Carroll? So the motion to defer fails. With supervisors Poole and Rodriguez voting yes to defer.
Okay, so now we go to the main motion. And Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to support this. I just, I trust the speaker told us that she's going to get us some additional information. I trust that she will. No, we did not.
No. Yeah.
Yep. Like I was saying, I will support this. I guess I'll blame the state on how they're funding this. I don't think it's wise. And to Supervisor Thomas's point, I don't think it's county government's concern that private entity makes money. We don't need to concern ourselves with that. That's on them, not on us. But I will support this. It's a good program, and it is going to bring much needed aid to all of our constituents. So that's all.
Supervisor Carroll.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Nudo. Question through the chairman to the speaker. There seemed to be some, I guess it's lack of understanding right now regarding the 432,000. You did clarify that it was based on $864 per person times 500 people to get to the value of the 432,000. Is that the way the contract with the private entity is going to be set up, that they get paid on a per person basis, or is this going to be, set up whereas they're going to get this 432,000 no matter how many people they get enrolled?
No, the 432,000 is how the state funds it to us. The employees will be paid for their 25 months of work. They won't be based on the amount of people that they enroll.
Okay, so the full amount, the full 432,000 is, if we vote on this, is going to be expended, no matter how many people they get enrolled?
Correct.
Okay.
And I mean, based on what we track in the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health, we track unmet needs. So when we went back to write this grant, we went back to 2020 to look at the amount of unmet needs that folks that called into our office that weren't eligible for services. We easily, in when we were looking back, could come up with 500 people. We actually have 100 people internally that are qualified for additional services that we can't provide to them because of some limitations on the programs that we currently run.
Okay, so then I guess the follow-up question to that is, what's the probability of meeting the 500 people? And I think that's what you were trying to get to.
I think it's very high.
Okay, so high probability that you will hit the 500 people to maximize the usage of the grant.
Correct.
That's what it sounds like. Okay. And now I have to try to remember my other question, so.
Sorry.
Oh, it was regarding the budget modification. So why is the budget modification for the 175,000? Would that be a different person to ask the question to?
What I have is the entire amount. It is broken down over 25 months, so it could be that the original is 175,000 for the 2023 calendar year, and then the additional would be in 2024 and 2025.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Supervisor Nedweski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if we just take a high-level view here, we're going to look at serving 500 people at $7,200 a person gets you to about 3.6 million. 432 is about 12% to administer the program, 12% administration cost. I think that's pretty average when it comes to this kind of thing. Also, I wanted to reiterate a point that Supervisor Stock made earlier, and we did discuss in committee at length, that we had not really discussed quite a lot right here. And Ms. Dutter had emphasized in committee that a portion of that $432 was the promotion of this program. So the county will not have any expenses incurred under our own, budget or levy that would cost us to reach these people who would be eligible. That's all being handled by the state, and that's, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yes, that is
Rebecca?
handled by the state.
But
yes.
is that a part of that promotion expenses in the 432?
Well, the part that we would do locally will be done within other parts of our division, which is included in the 432,000.
Okay, so it's
Correct.
not just salaries, and it's not just rental space, and it's not just a couple of laptops. I think there are expenses that you're going to find when you get that fiscal information, that detail, that you'll find it does add up to something that's pretty average. So again, I will support this.
Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following some of the questions that have been happening, I can't remember if we discussed this in committee or not. So what happens if we serve 500 people in 20 months? Does our contract with the third party end, or are they contracted for that full 25 months?
So the state of Wisconsin has a set amount of slots for this program. If we expend out our 500, we potentially could be eligible to increase that with no additional dollars that would be added to the 432. We would just continue to serve people as they gave us more slots.
And then second part of the question, are we contracting with them for up to 500, or are we contracting with this agency for the 25 months?
25 months.
So they're counting on us for 25 months.
Correct.
Getting our services. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Frank.
Call the question.
There is nobody else that wants to speak, so I don't know, do you still want to call the question, or we just move on? It's up to you.
Call the question.
Call the question. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have a voice roll call again. Yes to close debate?
Supervisor Grady? Rose? Gantz? Thomas? Kubicki? Yashki? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock? Nudo?
Aye.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedweski? Uhas? Wambolt? Bashaw? Poole? Nordigan? Carroll? Okay, the call of the question passes with 2 no votes, Supervisor Rodriguez and Supervisor Gantz voting no.
Okay, so I guess we can vote on the main. And, well, we need 16 votes, so I guess we're gonna have a roll call again. And we're gonna have a voice roll call.
All right, I'm not prepared for that. Oops. Grady? Rose? Gantz? Thomas? Kubicki? Yashki? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock? Nudo?
Aye.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedweski? Uhas? Wamble. Bashaw. Poole. Nordigan. Carroll. Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution 24 from the Human Services and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution to modify the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services 2023 budget for a new position, Community Prevention and Education Specialist. This passed unanimously at both committees with Supervisors Stocker and Bashaw excused.
Supervisor Stock.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have before us a resolution to add a new position to the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services. We have talked a lot in Human Services Committee over the last year about the need to focus on prevention in our community for substance abuse. I'm not sure if Rebecca or Carrie would like to present it. If you guys would just like to talk a little bit about what this entails, and then we can go from there. Thank you.
Good evening, Supervisors. Carrie Foss, Behavioral Health Manager at the Division. We have a really unique opportunity to be able to spend opioid settlement dollars to save lives. What we understand through our school systems is that there are more and more students presenting with substance abuse challenges in our schools. I have worked in this community for 27 years. I have never seen such a unique opportunity to use dollars for prevention, for education for youth. And so before you have the resolution for us to use the abatement dollars to hire a county position to spearhead the education program. We have one school, Wilmont, who has committed. We have several other schools that has expressed interest, but unable to commit because we don't quite have the position yet available to them. So we're looking forward to getting this started so we can do the implementation, we can find the curriculum, we can put together evidence-based, and we can assure the county board that there will be outcome measures that we will be able to produce after implementation whenever asked.
Okay. Anything else, Supervisor Stock?
No, that is all I have for now.
Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a couple questions. So we have $60,000 for total compensation for the balance of this year that we're voting on. When do you hope to have that position filled, and is that based upon a 6-month compensation, or is it on some shorter period of time?
Well, we would hope that we would get an approval this evening and work with Human Resources to start looking to have the position filled. Certainly this budget is for this calendar year. So what's before you is a 6-month.
Okay, so it's for the balance, so it's, okay, all right, so that was one. Thank you. I didn't know if they were anticipating having the proper person hired in August, and the compensation was still $60,000 for 4 months, or if it was based on 6 months. That was my question.
Sure.
So, okay. And is there I can't imagine that we're trying to develop a program from scratch. Are we using programs that have already been implemented in other parts of the country that you guys thought, oh yeah, this is the one that best fits our demographics and urban and rural county that we have?
So Supervisor, we're looking at Botvin Life Skills. It's a proven curriculum used globally. I have some statistics from a study for the Archives of Pediatric and Adolescent Medicine that this actual program can show effectiveness and cut tobacco use by 87%, alcohol use by 60%, marijuana use by 75%, methamphetamine use by 68%, cuts polydrug use, meaning multi-substances, by 66%, reduces pack-a-day smoking by 25%. And these are the actual outcomes of other communities that have adopted Botvin Life Skills as curriculum for substance abuse education.
Okay, great. So it sounds like that you the person who's hired for this will partner up with the local high schools, middle schools as well, or just the high schools?
There's several tiers that we have an opportunity to utilize this as. You have to go from the top backwards. So to be able to use Botvin life skills, there are from elementary all the way until graduation. We really want to be able to partner with our local law enforcement to not replace DARE, but to enhance. As to where DARE is really operating in the elementary school level, this would take a look at middle school and high school level. So to start, we would have to start at that junior to senior year. If we wanted to add cores or levels of this prevention, we would then look at 9th and 10th grade. And then another level would be middle school.
Okay. So do we have to get each school board's approval to have a program at that school, or is it just at the administrator at that school, like the principal or?
I would not feel comfortable answering on behalf of a school board.
Okay.
But the experience so far has been the approval of the administration of Wilmot, and we have not been asked to present to their school board, if that gives any indication.
Yeah, okay, all right, perfect. Last question then, so are we, this person that will be working for the county, are they going to be training counselors and teachers and other administrators, or whoever wants to be be involved in that program, that school, will be training them to either follow up? Obviously, one person can't be at all the places at one time, so are there building teams at each of these schools for that specific purpose?
We understand that based on the unique needs of all of our school districts, that we're gonna have to remain nimble on that front. So, for example, with Wilmot, there's health educators and athletic coaches that are willing to participate in learning more how to actually implement this curriculum in the school. As we have right now, we will have the individual county employee that would go through the initial training through Botvin Skills to understand the training to its fidelity, to be able to support other school staff in making sure that there's some sustainability here. There is a precedent. The Kenosha County Substance Abuse Coalition, about 10 years ago, purchased the Botvin Life Skills and then just handed it over to the school district. There was no sustainability after year one. And so that is the real motivation, to make sure that we have somebody at the county level to make sure that once the foot is on the gas, we don't let up.
Yeah. Just my final question. So of the 53 overdose-related deaths, how many overdoses were there? Do you have an idea of how many overdoses we have?
That did not
did not result in a death.
So I don't have that number in front of you. What I do know is that we do collect data from local EMS, and unfortunately through the medical examiner's office, to those who have lost their battle with substance use disorders. Of course, there are many overdoses that occur that are not reported to our first responders, but certainly could follow up and let you know. I do know statistically that since 2014, Kenosha County has 439 overdose deaths.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, congratulations. Second, how are the metrics going to be measured? Are you going to interview or poll students who are willing to partake in research essentially by the county? How do you measure if a teen has stopped smoking or stopped using a certain substance?
It's impossible to measure what doesn't happen. And so the way we were able to judge our efficacy and our outcome measures is, so we'll use, for example, that we were able to start with Wilmot High School. We would want to start with the total school population, and then to find out how many students have entered into truancy petitions, how many are engaged in youth justice, how many have had charges, or have a history of showing up to school either intoxicated or with contraband in any way. So we would want to first off gather our baseline data. We then have to measure to make sure if we're moving the needle in the right direction.
I see. I think this is a great program. It sounds like a great program. It's very encouraging to hear that you're going to partner with the Sheriff's Department. I didn't want to say it, so I'm happy you said it. This is kind of going to be DARE-esque for our older students in the county, and I think that's something that I know this county board has addressed with the sheriff's department, the previous county board addressed with the sheriff's department, is lacking education with our oldest students, where we see use is most prevalent, and trying to nip it there before it continues into their young adulthood and for some ending their lives. So I think this is a great program. I'm encouraged to see where this goes, and I hope that after this is hired, or after this individual is hired, I know the opioid abatement money is long-term. How long do we foresee this individual having, or us having the position?
One of the duties and responsibilities of this position will be to continue to research different funding opportunities. What is the sustainability of this program outside of the abatement dollars? I would certainly hope that this is a successful program at Wilmot, and we have many other schools interested in engaging in this program, which will, of course, require expansion. So one of the responsibilities and duties of the individual that's initially hired will be to seek out and research other funding opportunities.
Great. And then I would just ask that after this individual is hired and they get settled in, and the program starts rolling, if your team can just share with us as you enroll new schools or organizations or what stats you are, because it's exciting for the community, it's exciting for us, and it's exciting for us to go back and tell folks, especially those individuals and organizations who are doing what they can to fight substance abuse and addiction, that the county government is committed to addressing it as well, outside of just law enforcement, but addressing the root cause. And then my next question is not for you, it's for HR. So I'll let you switch out. Thank you, Claire. Just, what is the classification of this position, and what's their total package going to cost on a yearly basis?
This is an E8, or will be a new E8, once we implement the class and comp. I don't know what the fiscal analysis totaled, but it would include salary, benefits.
But it's an E8?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none, we're going to have a roll call vote again, and it's going to be a voice roll call.
Supervisor Grady? Rose? Gantz? Thomas? Kubicki? Gashke? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock? Nudo?
Aye.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedweski? Uhas? Wambolt? Bashaw? Poole? Nordigan? Carroll? Resolution 24 passes unanimously. Resolution 25 from the Judiciary and Law Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Chief Colin Hennessy to the Kenosha Joint Services Board. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Bashaw.
Move the motion to appoint Chief Hennessy.
Moved by Supervisor Bashaw, second by Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Bashaw.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board. Chief Hennessy is an asset to his community where he serves diligently in Paris in the fire services there. On occasion, fire services from Paris has had opportunity to come over to my area as well, so I thank you very much for what you do. Chief Hennessy will be appointed to the Commission Joint Services Board for 3 years. He will serve without pay, and he is succeeding Joshua Barker. I ask the board to approve the motion to approve him.
Any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 26 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Andrew Minor to serve as a member of the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee Group 5 EPCRA facilities. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Bashaw.
Move the motion to, or move the resolution to approve the appointment of Andrew Minor.
Moved by Supervisor Besho, second by Supervisor Nordigan. Supervisor Besho.
I believe Sergeant Hannah's here, if Sergeant Hannah would like to introduce it. He looked at me like, I don't want to work tonight, wait a minute.
Good evening, Sergeant Hannah, Kenosha County Emergency Management. Before you sits a resolution to appoint Andrew Minor to the Local Emergency Planning Committee. This will be for a 3-year term that is not paid. Mr. Minor comes to us through Pleasant Prairie, through the Rust-Oleum, which is a facility that does do EPCRA compliance reporting to emergency management and to the state. He fulfills a need for the industry representation.
Any supervisor comments?
Yep. Further, Mr. Chair, if I might, Mr. Minor has specialized training in this area and brings some special knowledge to the position as well, so he is an asset to us.
Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 27 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution approving Country Thunder Activity Control License 2023. This passed at committee 5-1 with Supervisor Rodriguez voting nay. Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Besho.
I move the resolution to approve the control license for Country Thunder.
Moved by Supervisor Besho, second by Supervisor Wemble. Supervisor Besho.
On an annualized basis, we have the opportunity to look at the control license for Country Thunder. It has been an asset to our community, drawing thousands of people from around a broad geographic area, bringing a lot of revenue, a lot of opportunity. There are, however, always questions that go along with a large venue event. Some of those questions I placed on the table earlier about size of attendance, things like that. So I believe we do have the Sheriff's Department here, and they could answer any questions that you may have. However, it is a privilege to have Country Thunder back in Kenosha again and bringing this musical festival to us.
Thank you. Supervisor Poole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wonder if you could, through the chair to Supervisor Rodriguez, why he voted no on this. Could he expound on that?
Supervisor Rodriguez, you want to answer that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I voted no is because I don't trust Country Thunder. I think they've made it clear to us that they shouldn't be trusted. Particularly this year, there's changes to the Electric Thunder, which is like an after party, if you will, on the festivity grounds. This year, we were told at committee that there is no cap on folks inside the tent. We did hear that they changed some of the entrances and the exits. But I don't like the idea of not having a cap on folks in a confined space. I think it's dangerous. I think it can lead to panic and mayhem should something horrible happen, God forbid. The Sheriff's Department did state that this would alleviate the need to, them to man the entrances to this tent essentially, and that if it got out of hands, then they would be willing and able to assist then. I just don't like the idea of opening up for a potential bad idea. Captain Klinkhammer did speak with me after the meeting and showed me some plans for the tent. Little difficult to see on paper when you don't have a tent in front of you, but I know he's probably itching to say or respond to that. And I did speak with the Chief Deputy and the Sheriff about this as well. They're both confident that they can do this safely and that Country Thunder can do this safely. So I'll defer to Captain Klinkhammer on the tent issue, if that's okay with Supervisor Poole.
Supervisor Poole, anything else? You're okay with that?
Yes, thank you to Supervisor Rodriguez. But I had a point I like to make myself. It seems like it's a 40% reduction from 50,000 down to 30,000, and what if the people who run this thing decide next year, well, if we go somewhere else, we could, maybe have 40, 50,000, So I am concerned of the 40% reduction there, but I will be voting for it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other supervisors? Supervisor Besha.
could address that. There was a clerical error in last year's, so please. Microphone.
Can you hear me? All right. Last, Country Thunders always estimated their attendance to be at 30,000 or less. The activity control license for the past few years has said 50,000. It very seldom ever hit that, and it did on the Saturday night last year, and it caused the chaos due to their lack of security to handle that many people. They have assured me numerous times, because we're very concerned about that event having 50,000 people, and they've assured me that they will limit their ticket sales to less than 30,000, and we don't trust Country Thunder, but I believe that they're going to do that. Their management was out there in that chaos last year and saw what happened, and they don't want to repeat, and neither do we. And we will hold them to all of the rules on that activity control license.
Thank you. Does that satisfy your question, Supervisor Poole? Thank you. Thank you, Captain.
Okay. Supervisor Berg.
I'm going to support this, but I want to make sure that we're remembering everything here. That all of the good things that have been said, great, wonderful, it's an asset to our community, this and that, but tens of women have been raped in the past years at each of these events. There's been a lot of underage drinking, and any bar in our community would have been shut down since then. I'm still going to vote to support this, but I want to make sure that people understand some of the stats that come out every year from this. Also, I want to make a reminder for supervisors that decide to go on a tour that I'm sure Sheriff Sheriff Zorner is going to take everybody around on his ATV. Do not accept tickets, do not accept beer, do not accept food for those that are new and for those that are still here previously. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisor? Any other supervisors? Supervisor Carroll.
Oh, Supervisor Nordigan's before me.
Go ahead.
Okay. Seeing as the event is in my district, and I have attended the event previously to see, and I was in attendance last year at the Saturday night where there was quite a bit of an issue with traffic and people and weather events and everything else. This came in front of the PDEC as far as the conditions go, and you've seen that on the attachment tonight. So we voiced our concerns with the Country Thunder folks at that point in time, and then there was several other issues that were left to the activity control license. I did have a chance to speak with Officer Klinkhammer regarding my concerns, mostly around traffic and attendance and things of that nature, and he assured me that he's been doing this for since the start of this in the late 90s or mid-late 90s, and that he understood what the concerns were and that the activity control license would address those. I've, from what I can tell, the concerns have been addressed, so I'm going to be supporting this activity control license tonight.
Thank you. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back when Country Thunder came to light, it came to Randall when I was on the Randall Town Board. And you want to talk about the Wild West. It was insane back then. And what it is now is far more controlled. You're not going to control people who are going to do stupid things. We understand that. Alcohol does stupid things to people as well. So to Supervisor Berg's concerns, yeah, it is concerning. I also think that we are seeing better, I won't say better behavior, but maybe more strict and cracking down, and people are knowing about that. I'm glad to see that we're going to hold it at about 30,000. I know jewel stores used to get 10,000 tickets out on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, and it was insane. I worked it. I know, and it's it's far superior than what it was. So I will be supporting this resolution tonight. Thank you.
Any other supervisors? Want to speak again?
For the first time.
First time?
Well, I'm not answering anybody's questions. I just would like Captain Klinkhammer to elaborate on the tent, clarify. I spoke with the chief deputy today. Does this tent with no capacity limit, where they play music and have alcohol, are there walls on this tent? He said that he thought that there might not be walls on the tent.
There are walls. They've added 2 additional exits and entrances on either side, as well as the main entrance and exit. They've widened those. There were always small little man-sized doors, person-sized doors, and now they've extended that to all of the entrances will be the same size. They're about 15 to 20 feet across. There will be bicycle fence kind of funneling the people in and out. They've also, the biggest problem with Electric Thunder was the fact that they closed it, waited for the last concert to end, and then all of the attendees of the concert who were under 22 years old bum rushed that tent and wanted to get in as soon as they could. And Country Thunder did not have enough security to man both events. They have promised me and have hired an additional security company to man that tent consistently throughout the entire event to allow it to stay open. So there will be no mad rush to get in or out at the end of the concert. There might be a lot of people going in, but there will be nobody stopping them from going in, and that's where our problems have happened in the past. Believe me, I've been in the middle of that melee. I will hold them to this. We will not. They won't, in my opinion, they won't open that tent if they have to keep it closed until there's a mad rush to get in it.
All right. I said this in committee. I trust Captain Klinkhammer. I don't trust Country Thunder. So I'll support this tonight. I want to thank the sheriff and his staff, including Captain Klinkhammer, for reaching out to me this afternoon to address my concerns that I had after the committee meeting. I do appreciate that. And I do trust Captain Klinkhammer will shut down Electric Thunder should it get too rowdy or should it present a dangerous situation, because we don't want that in the headlines for Kenosha County, that somebody got seriously injured or worse. So that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Supervisor Brescia.
Thank you, Chair. Supervisor Carroll raised a question regarding the parking access for cars, traffic patterns, et cetera. During Judiciary and Law, number of questions were raised around that as well, and Captain Klinkhammer has gone through an extensive modification of their deployment strategy, and Country Thunder has made some modifications as well. Correct me if I get anything wrong, but they've modified the entry point for campers, trailers, things like that, such that it's not going through the main entrance and it's not crossing through the field. They've also set back their initial ticket acceptance, I guess you call it, at the entry point, such that they remove more traffic from the roadway. So they've taken extensive measures to try to alleviate some of the traffic congestion. I guarantee it'll happen, but it shouldn't be as extensive as in the past. That's the hope. And the deployment strategy is to be, as the sheriff has want to say, proactive. So we have a group of sheriff's police that take this seriously. To Supervisor Andy's comment, it is a very serious activity and event. This is our county. These are our citizens, our children, our friends, and we take it seriously that they're kept safe throughout the activity for that weekend. So thank you, Captain Klinkhammer, and if I got anything wrong, correct me.
We've revamped the hours of our parking staff, our traffic staff that are out on the road directing traffic. We've extended that. The busiest time is Thursday during the ingress of all the campers. The traffic starts much earlier than the other nights, so we've extended a number of deputies to start at, I believe it's noon or 1 o'clock on Thursday, so they're there to help move things along. The traffic flow will be the same, except for the new camping entrance that's on 119th Street. So that will prevent the people going all the way over to that campground from driving through the whole festival site. Country Thunder came up with that, so they also have new staff that are looking at things with different eyes, and I think they're making an effort to address our concerns.
And as Supervisor Rodriguez made a point at the Judiciary Law meeting, you also have the new security strobes that were approved by this board, so.
Correct.
Identifiers. So they've taken a lot of precautions, and I thank you very much for the work you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none, all in favor?
I gotta holler at
Huh?
them.
Sorry. Supervisor Stuck.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Does somebody at the at the county or the sheriff's department, are we checking in with Country Thunder are we getting reports to make sure that their ticket sales are not exceeding or getting close? Do we have any eyes to see how many tickets they're actually selling?
Sorry, it's part of the activity control license that they have to report to us daily what the ticket sales are for that day.
And what happens if they meet or exceed 30,000?
They've told us they won't.
But there's nothing written in this that penalizes them if they sell over 30,000 tickets?
Unfortunately, there are no real hard biting consequences for them should they do something wrong. Besides next year, we will deal with that. But I don't know how to say that in any other way. We will be very upset with them, and our planning for next year will be very different if they deceive us and do something that they told us they won't. And I will definitely hold them accountable.
Well, I'm not on that committee, so I haven't been super involved with the discussions, but I think it would be beneficial maybe in the future years to incorporate that. If they sell over 30,000 tickets, charge them a penalty for every ticket that they sell that they shouldn't have, or whatever that looks like. My second question is about just being on Human Services and seeing, the effects of these type of events. What is this strategy that the Sheriff's Department has as far as specifically for underage drinking? Are there precautions that we're taking? What is the enforcement going to look like this year? And is that going to be monitored closely?
Our deputies proactively patrol and enforce the underage drinking. As far as a strategy to stop that, I don't know that there is one.
Are attendees under 21 given different colored bands, different colored tickets that they could be clearly identified as not being?
So when they're in the festival ground, anybody that's in possession of alcohol is supposed to have a wristband.
Okay.
In the campground, it's a campsite, so there's no real rules as far as bringing in alcohol. That's where our deputies come in, and we enforce the underage drinking laws and the ordinances in those campgrounds.
Do you have a number as far as how many you anticipate based on previous years? I'm guessing you don't have those numbers in front of you, but what do we typically see as far as underage drinking from these events?
I may have those numbers in front of me. Well, I can tell you that as far as calls for service that were alcohol related, there were 42 last year. See, we just hired a data analyst, and I had her go through the numbers, so I have lots of cool graphs and forms.
Okay.
That weren't done, but I believe I have the media release in the packet from last year regarding the number of alcohol citations that were issued. And it's gone up and down. Last year there were 60 total county ordinance citations, and only 37 of those were for underage drinking. Part of that is because of how busy they were on Saturday night. Saturday night is the big night.
Okay.
And that probably took our proactive enforcement away on that night.
Okay.
So I've seen numbers anywhere from 150 I don't know if you call it a good year, 150 to last year was 60. So it goes up and down, and depends on how busy the deputies are, how proactive they can be. If they're dealing with other issues and can't go out and proactively search out underage drinkers, then the numbers will be lower. If it's quieter and there's people walking around with beer in their hands, or there's underage people that are causing problems and they're intoxicated, then they'll be cited.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Supervisor Nedwesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any more supervisors in the queue?
I don't see any right now.
Okay, then I have nothing to say.
Okay. Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none? Okay, we're gonna have a voice roll call again.
Supervisor Grady? Rose? Gentz? Thomas? Kubicki? Gashke? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock? Nudo?
Aye.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedwesky? Uhas? Wambolt? Bashaw? Poole? Nordigan? Carroll? Resolution 27 passes unanimously. Resolution 28 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution authorizing the Kenosha County Board for the Highway Commissioner to collect $3,074,138 from Majestic Midwest Innovation Center LLC, MMIC, for highway improvements and installation of a traffic signal at the County Trunk Highway K and 104th Avenue intersection. This passed unanimously at both committees, with Supervisor Nordigan and O'Day and Grady and Poole excused.
Supervisor Stuck.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Stuck, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Stuck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is authorizing us to receive funds from Majestic Midwest Innovation Center. The area is the site of the former, near the site of the former dog track. Part of the agreement is that they would fund the intersection because of the increased traffic. They would fund the cost of putting a traffic signal at the intersection of 94th Court and 115th Avenue. I believe Clement is here. If anyone has any additional questions, the current plan is to hold on to the funds and use them for the future redevelopment of that corridor. So our current intention is we're not going to construct the intersection right away. We're going to wait until we continue with that 60th Street reconstruction all the way out to 94 and use the funds then. Did I get that right, Clement? I'll let you pick up where I left off. But that's the long and short of it is we're gonna hold on to these funds, wait until we do the road project, and then apply it to that project.
The intersection is actually 104th and County Trunk Highway K.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah. And then the idea of holding the funds is because there are certain designs aspect about the project which cannot be done at this time because of the limited limits of the project, particularly the storm sewer management aspect of the project. So we're just going to hold the funds, and then when we are doing the corridor, that's when we are going to then include this section of this intersection into that project. So the funds will just be held on the site until when the time comes for us to construct it.
Okay. Anything else, Supervisor Stark?
That is all. I would encourage the board to support this resolution.
Okay. Any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, we're gonna have a roll call again.
Supervisor Grady? Rose? Gentz? Thomas? Kubicki? Gashke? Rodriguez? Berg? Stock?
Aye.
Nudo?
Aye.
Franco? Stocker? Geertsen? Nedweski? Uhas? Wamble? Bashaw? Poole? Nordigan? Carroll? Resolution 28 passes unanimously. Resolution 29 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution in support of a memorandum of understanding between the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department, Village of Pleasant Prairie Police Department, City of Kenosha Police Department, and the Village of Twin Lakes Police Department. This passed unanimously at both committees with Supervisors Poole, Grady, and Belsky excused.
Supervisor Besha. Supervisor Rose? You wanna do it? Or okay.
This is a memorandum of understanding,
Just move the resolution first. Second by Supervisor Gersten.
This is a traditional memorandum of understanding between the Sheriff's Department and the respective agencies that are listed here for cooperation in the event that it is necessary for one department to assist another.
Okay. Anything else, Supervisor? Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 29 passes. Resolution 30 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution authorizing transfer of a parcel taken by tax deed to the City of Kenosha and forgiveness of taxes and assessments. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Poole and Grady excused.
Supervisor Rose.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Gersten. Supervisor Rose.
The county often deeds property which has been taken by tax deed to various municipalities for a public purpose. The resolution before you is a public purpose resolution regarding some very small pieces of property on the east side of First Avenue and 75th Street. The city of Kenosha would like those pieces of property for erosion control. They are not large enough for construction of a home or any other public building. At probably 100 or more years ago, they were the size of a standard public lot, but over the years, the lake has eroded them. There is currently large boulders up against the property, and no one has paid taxes on it, and the city requests that they be conveyed to them for the continuation of erosion control.
Okay, any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 30 passes. Ordinance 3 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Lauren Myers Sr. and Marvin Myers owner, Janet Gum agent, requesting a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District and C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District to A1 Agricultural Preservation District, R1 Rural Residential District, C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District in the town of Paris. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Franco and Kubicki excused.
Supervisor Carroll.
Move ordinance 3.
Moved by Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor Geschke. Supervisor Carroll.
Yeah, this is a rezoning in the town of Paris. The rezone was approved unanimously in committee and also approved by the town of Paris. I ask for this board support tonight on this rezoning.
Any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose?
Ordinance 4 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding William and Rachel Taff, owner, requesting a rezoning from A2 General Agricultural District to A2 General Agricultural District and R1 Rural Residential District in Town of Brighton. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Franco and Kubicki excused.
Supervisor Carroll.
Move ordinance 4.
Moved by Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor Bishop. Supervisor Carroll.
Yeah, this is another rezone. This is in the town of Brighton. The owner is looking to expand his parcel to the north by including the parcel that was highlighted on the rezoning PDF that was attached here. Was approved unanimously by committee and also by the town of Brighton. And I ask for the board support tonight on this rezoning.
Any supervisor comments? Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose?
Communications, 21, communication from Public Works and Facilities, a resolution authorizing the Director of Highways to accept $50,000 from Silver Lake Solar Wisconsin for road repairs due to construction traffic.
Refer to Public Works and Finance Committees.
22, communications from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Received and filed.
23, communication from Public Works Facilities, a resolution to accept the Community Development Block Grant to support the 2023 Kemper Center Building Exterior Restoration Project.
Refer to Public Works and Finance Committees.
The approval of the June 6, 2023 minutes by Supervisor Bashaw.
Supervisor Bishop.
Move approval of the minutes.
Moved by Supervisor Bishop, second by Supervisor Gantz. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Rodriguez, second by Supervisor Berg. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? We're adjourned.